Welcome back to Grim Happenings, where we dive into the unexplained, the eerie, and the downright chilling. Today's episode takes us into one of the most infamous haunted locations in the United States, the Sallie House in Atchison, Texas. Known for its violent paranormal activity, unexplained scratches, and the spirit said to be far more than just a harmless child. This house has left even the most seasoned investigators shaken. Joining us today is Rob, a paranormal investigator and a founder of one of the founders of his own investigation team. Rob has firsthand experience exploring the Sallie House and uncovering the energy that lingers within its walls. Rob, we're so excited to have you here today. Welcome to Grim Happenings. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got into paranormal investigations?
Absolutely. I'm going to make one small correction on your opening because I can hear your listeners yelling at you now. It's Atchison, Kansas, not Texas. So that is the
Yes,
state that it's
I
in.
have,
I
for some reason, a hard time saying that word.
so it's in Kansas, but
They'll
yeah,
get
my
it.
name's Rob Coakley. I am one of the three hosts of Hometown Ghost Stories, which is a show that you can find on YouTube or any of your podcast platforms. And we have been doing the show for a little while now, and every week we cover a different town somewhere in the world and talk about all the hauntings. And just like the Sallie House, some places we actually go to and do our own investigations at those locations. So it's been a wild ride over the last almost 5 years.
That's awesome. We obviously have already met, and I wanted to ask you, how was your trip to Europe?
Yeah, we just got back from Europe, doing a bunch of content over there, and we also did 2 overnight investigations. We haven't released those just quite yet, but I would tell your listeners to definitely check us out. Look for those, especially the Scare It In. There was, some real interesting stuff that happened at that investigation. Both investigations were good, but the Scare It In was very creepy.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
very good stuff.
So before we really get into it, I do have a couple more questions. When was your very first paranormal experience?
So my first paranormal experience in person, I live in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, which a lot of your listeners might know is associated with the Bridgewater Triangle. And my grandparents
Mhm.
owned a home there for over 50 years. So when I was 8 years old, I had kind of heard some of the stories associated with my grandparents' house. And we were there one day, myself, my mother, and my little brother, who was only 2 at the time. And he was upstairs, supposed to be taking a nap. Now, my little brother was like the devil. This kid got into everything.
Oh,
So
no.
this is yeah. So middle of the day, we hear my mother and I are the only other 2 people there. We hear him start crying, and the assumption was he got into something, he hurt himself. So
Mhm.
we run up the stairs to see what's going on, and remember, he's 2 years old, and he's just in the corner of the hallway, and all the color is gone from him, and he's just pointing
Oh,
going,
no.
"The man, mummy, the man. The man, mummy, the man," freaking out. I was 8, that scared the hell out of me. Long story short, I did look into the history of the house as I got older
Mhm.
and found that the original owner, it was a farm at the time called the Oakley
Mhm.
Farm, which I have listeners can't see, but I have the original sign from the farm on my wall here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, and he one day during a storm, one of his cows got out, and he went out to go find his cow, and he never returned, and nobody ever saw him again. So they don't know if he
Really?
went yeah, they don't know there's multiple theories of what happened to him, but that was in 1949. I found multiple newspaper articles on it, and, we think maybe he's the man haunting the house, but we can't be for sure, and I had a lot of other experiences in that house
Yeah. That's
throughout the
interesting.
years. Yeah. We actually
Wow,
did
and they
our
never.
first sorry. We
No,
actually
go
did our
ahead.
first episode on that house, and, a couple months later, I got a message asking about the address, and I said, "We don't own it anymore. I usually don't give
Mhm.
it out, but yes, that's the address." And this person said, "Well, I'm the new owner, and we've shown this, like, to our listeners," and they showed me everything that's happened to them in the house so far, and some of it was stuff that
That's
happened to us
crazy.
that I didn't even put in the episode. So,
That's wild.
yeah, it was pretty cool. I have an open invite to go back and see the house, but I haven't taken them up on it yet.
No.
No, but we will
That'd be
eventually.
a little nerve-wracking, but also, I'm sure you'd be flooded with, like, memories too, and sometimes that's just really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. So I'll go back eventually, but for now
Yeah.
we're moving forward.
Nice. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Um, so
No
I would
problem.
really like to get into your investigation on the Sallie House. I've heard about this house myself, just getting into the paranormal community, and it sounds pretty terrifying. I also checked out your YouTube episode on this, and I was blown away. Um, so yes, I would love to get started on that. So for listeners who are not familiar with it, can you explain the history of the Sallie House?
Sure, it has a bit of a murky history, but the legend or the story behind the house is some facts that we do know. We do know that it was owned by a Dr. Finney, and he was like one of the lone doctors in the
Mhm.
area. So he would he lived on one portion of the house, he had offices in the other, and the story behind the haunting goes that one
Okay.
night a woman brought her daughter to the doctor and she was in incredible pain. And he said, "She needs to have an appendectomy right now." So, like, it had to happen at that exact moment or she wouldn't survive.
Mhm.
Now, he thought he had given her enough anesthesia or he hadn't given her any anesthesia, so he operated on her and she was awake during the whole thing, screaming, and she ended up passing
Oh
away.
my
Now that's the
gosh.
story, we don't have an actual record of it. The thing is, with these old
Yeah.
towns, a lot of towns either burnt down or flooded, so you lose a lot of the records on stuff like that. So it is a bit legend, it is a bit not known if it is
Yeah.
actually something that happened, but the hauntings really started to pick up in the '90s with a family called the Pickmans, and they were violent hauntings with fire,
Okay.
started off, like, playful and then just seemed to become more and more demonic, so that is, like, the brief history of the Sallie House, and,
Oh my
it
gosh.
is a place known that when you go there, usually you get some activity,
Awesome.
and we did.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so can we take us through the investigation itself? Um, as much as you can. Like, when you showed up, like what time of the year was it? And then who were you with?
Sure. So it was just myself, Dave, and Jesse from the show. Sometimes we bring, like, a camera person for us, but this particular trip we didn't, it was just the 3 of us, and it was
Okay.
sometime in the summer last year, I believe, 2025, and we went to investigate the Sallie House. We also went to investigate the Villisca Axe Murder House, and we did Malvern Manor. So this is one trip with 3
Ooh.
investigations, but we kicked it off with the Sallie House, and when we got
Oh,
there,
that's awesome.
you go it's like a really s yeah, it was pretty cool. When we got there, it's like a small house in a regular neighborhood, it's pretty unassuming when you pull up to it, and we went inside
Yeah.
during the day because we like to film, like, our walkthrough footage so people can see what it looks like and everything like that, and as we're there,
Nice.
there's a knock on the door, and Dave had gone to check into the hotel, so it's just me and Jesse, and it was these 2 people, and
Mhm.
just randomly, and Jesse's like, "Can I help you?" And the girl was like, "I was walking by this house and I was drawn to it," type of deal. It was real weird. But after that, we kinda got our bearings,
Interesting.
we got our equipment together, and we started our investigation. Yeah. And we never know what to expect, right? Like, when you go to a haunted location, even if it is
Hmm.
haunted, you might not get anything. We have plenty of investigations that we've
Yeah.
not been able to even air anything because you just don't get activity every time you go somewhere, whether it's haunted or not. So, our expectations were we keep them real flatline. We
Right.
don't have high expectations or low expectations when you go into a place. And this place was so small that we didn't really know how we wanted
Mhm.
to tackle it at first, and the only way to really do it for us was we did a group investigation in the living room, and then there's 3 bedrooms upstairs, so we were gonna do 3 solo investigations,
Okay.
and we started with that group investigation, and while we're there, nothing's, like, happening, and then all of a sudden we just heard like 4 or 5 footsteps run up the stairs, and we were like, "What the hell is
Mhm.
that?" So we, like, ran upstairs, we were looking around, there was nobody else in the house. It scared the hell out of all of us, to be honest,
Yeah.
and at
'Cause
that
at the same time, because I watched the video, at the same time, not only did you guys hear those footsteps, but, like, all your equipment seemed to come off, like, go off all at once.
Yeah, and we think we set off some of that, and we sort of explain that in our
Mhm.
breakdown just because of how close we were to some of it, but not all of it. So, like, some
Right.
of it we when we ran by, we think we were probably the reason it went off, and that's what we try to do
Gotcha.
is debunk everything as we're there. So we think 1 or 2 of those devices, probably us, but to your point, some other stuff started going off at that point, and, it was scary as hell. So we actually had to
Yeah.
regroup, which we usually don't have to do,
Yeah.
and before our solos. So I went and did my solo. There really wasn't anything that happened of note. Jesse did his. Nothing
Yeah.
really happened, but then we sent Dave into the room where most of the activity happens, which is the nursery. And
Okay.
you walk in there, it's real creepy. They have toys and dolls everywhere. And one of the stories from the hauntings of the 90s is the Pickmans had dolls in the room. And when they went up there one day, all of the dolls were
Mhm.
arranged in a circle, which is creepy
Weird.
enough.
Yeah.
But the creepier part is not only were they in the circle, they were facing outward in the circle.
Oh.
So, we recreated that, we put the dolls in that
Mhm.
arrangement, and Dave went up there and he was doing a spirit box session, and he was getting nothing. He was getting ready to wrap up this session and just, like,
Mhm.
chalk it up, and out of nowhere, this scream comes through the spirit box, and it lasts for multiple, multiple channels, and you've watched the video, so you've heard it. It's just this
Yeah.
guttural "Rah!" scream that comes through,
Yeah, that
and
was wild. Ugh.
it was terrifying. We watched it back, like, we were so shocked, we watched it back multiple times there. Dave is our resident skeptic and the
Yeah.
most level-headed of the 3 of us. Investigations before and investigations after, this
Mhm.
is the only time I've seen him, like, shook to his
Really?
it's not even on camera, but, like, legitimately, we had to go outside afterwards, and he was just, like, out of it, and we had to have, like, a 20-minute talk about,
Aw.
like, life at that point because he was
Oh
so
my gosh.
scared of what
That's
happened in
wild
that
that that was
room.
so intense that it shook him up.
I've never seen him like that, and we've been friends forever.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever seen him like that. He didn't wanna continue the investigation. We had to talk him into we were like, "We have to go do a group investigation in that room." And he's like, "I don't wanna go back in that room." And
Oh,
we're like
no.
I'm like, "What are we here for, Dave?" I'm like, "If it
Right.
was one of us,
This is
you
what we're looking for.
this is it. This is what we
Yeah.
need."
Yeah.
So we did go do a group investigation in that room, and we for the spirit box that was quiet while he was in there until the scream, your listeners, if they would like, can go watch that investigation. There's a lot that happens in it with the spirit box.
Mhm.
But what I would like to point out is we aired that video and all of our listeners were watching, and there's a point in the video that we didn't even see. And if you go back and it's like 38, I can't remember the exact timestamp. People put it in the comments. So if you go to the video, look for
Yeah.
the timestamp in the comments. We don't point it out because we didn't see it, but there's a stuffed animal that's on the bed and it sits up on the bed. It doesn't
No
fall
way.
over. Sits up during the investigation. We had to watch it
And this
back like go ahead.
and this is when he was in the room by himself?
No, no, this is when we were doing the group investigation.
Oh, okay. But still,
So
oh
you
my
can s
gosh.
yeah, and none of us saw it at the time it happened, and none of us and we when we review footage, there's
Mhm.
3 sets of eyes on it, and we all watch it. God, it has to be 50 times each because
Jeez.
we're trying to hear what we got, see what we got, and we're
Mhm.
trying to edit it down so that we're not making you sit there through a 4-hour investigation and
Oh, yeah, for sure.
sorta getting the highlights, but yeah, it just sits right up, and it
Ah,
is insanely creepy, to see, and we weren't the ones that caught it is what still gets me to this day is we
yeah.
never saw it, our listeners saw it,
Oh my
so
gosh, that's awesome. When you guys were doing that group investigation in that room, did you have any sort of, like, feeling? Were you feeling anything? Any emotions or anything like that?
yeah, so when I go to locations, there's been times we've gone to different locations and I go into a certain room or a certain area of the
Mhm.
house and you get like this feeling, like a different feeling, and I don't really know how to
Mhm.
describe it. we went to the Oliver House in Middleborough, which is a really cool house, old house,
Mhm.
and there was this one room that I felt real uncomfortable in, and I had the craziest spirit box session there where I had, like, a conversation back and forth with this spirit, like, just continuous,
Oh my
and then at
goodness.
the end, I was like, "Alright, I'm gonna let you go. Do you wanna talk to anybody else here?" And it goes, "No, you." And I was like, "No, do you wanna talk to anyone else here?" It goes, "No, you." And it was, like, 3 times that it did that.
What?
S
That's wild.
so so the Sallie House, when you go into that nursery room,
Mhm.
there is a different feeling in there. It gives you, I mean, the whole house has an off vibe, but that room in
Yeah.
particular, it just there's a different feeling walking in that room, for sure.
Very interesting.
Yes.
I love it. Um, so when you do your investigations, especially at the Sallie House, what are some of your, I guess, favorite tools to use as far as investigating? Do you have anything that you kind of gravitate to, or something that usually gives you a better, I guess, response?
So as we've been doing this, we've been fortunate enough to be able to build our collection of tools. What I will say, going to that feeling thing,
Mhm.
the most important thing that you have in an investigation is yourself, right? You have to trust your
Yeah.
instincts to begin before you even grab any tool there is. And you don't need a ton of tools when you're starting out. But what we've learned is we have REM pods, we have spirit boxes, we have,
Mhm.
dowsing rods. We have a lot of the expensive stuff as well. It's
Yeah.
you should be trying a bunch of different things because you might get a reaction on one device, but it might not be able to interact with another. So failure on one
Gotcha.
device doesn't mean that there's no activity happening, and, we've learned that a lot when we did the Scare It In. I think it's gonna be the one episode that you see that we barely have any spirit box because it was more so responding to other devices that we had within the Scare It In. So,
Yeah.
it just really depends on location, what the spirits want to communicate through. So we don't have a favorite. I mean, my favorite
Mhm.
is we have the music box that's it's a motion detector, and it plays a creepy song.
Yeah, that one's
So,
cool.
like, a personal
Yeah.
favorite, yeah, is when that goes off, it's terrifying. Like, it's one of the scariest things you'll ever hear if you're in a
Yeah.
dark room and that thing just starts playing that creepy song. So, it's a
Oh my
personal
gosh, yeah,
favorite,
it gives me goosebumps just
but I
thinking
don't
about it.
like yeah, yeah, it's very scary.
That's fun. I went to, an investigation one time that supposedly there was kids involved, and they had, a Boo Bear, and I actually really enjoyed it because we actually got quite a bit of activity from that. Um, but you don't see those very often in investigations.
No, I actually wanted to get one of those for that reason. I mean, it's just a REM pod in a teddy bear essentially. So
Mhm.
it's the same idea, but on top of that, it's
Yeah.
a trigger object to your point. So like if there are children ghosts, they might
Yeah.
gravitate towards a teddy bear. So, I mean, just utilizing your
Yeah.
devices in different ways, whether having it within the teddy bear or using your own toy near the REM pod is good to do as well. Try to bring something towards the time period of the spirit you think you might be communicating with.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Um, so how would you compare, the energy of the Sallie House compared to, like, other haunted locations that you've been to?
I would say that it's darker there for sure. Like you get a darker feeling. And one thing I'll say about the
Yeah.
investigation too that like kills me to this day is right when we wrapped that final group investigation, we were all done. We were shutting the cameras off. Jesse went over to one camera. I went over to the other. We pressed power
Mhm.
pretty much at the same time to shut them off, like, and as soon as we did, something in the room, I'm guessing one of the dolls, just goes, "Okay, goodbye." And Jesse and I looked at each other,
Oh my
both
god.
of our jaws dropped because we were terrified, but the next thing was like, "Were you still rolling?" And neither of us were, and it was the scariest and saddest moment of my life at the same time that we
Oh,
didn't get that
man.
on
That would've
camera.
been
We
awesome to
filmed
catch.
our reaction, but yeah. But to answer your question, it's a terrifying
That's
place. It
crazy.
feels
You
dark. It feels Gritty, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you believe that there is an actual little girl there, or do you guys think it might be something a little bit darker?
I personally think it's something darker, and I usually don't think that about places, because I think because a lot of people associate children ghost with something demonic, and I just don't think that's the case most of the time.
Mhm.
I have different theories on that. I mean, one of our rules is we don't make the rules. That's one of our sayings on the show. So, but one thing I think is I do think that there are
Something good to go
children
by.
spirits. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like as you go on, you notice that people just they get steadfast in stuff that we just don't know. We're still learning. So
Mhm.
we're trying to learn all of this together, right? And
Mhm.
one thing that I do see people get real steadfast on is that there is no such thing as children spirits, and all of children spirits are demonic, and I don't buy it personally.
No.
So I think that in this particular case, though, I believe it's something demonic or something has manifested there in a
Mhm.
sense, and I'll compare it a little bit to Emily's Bridge, which is a haunted location in Stowe, Vermont. Now, we went
Oh,
up there, and there's a whole tale about Emily's Bridge with a whole backstory, and if you look it up, you can't verify any of it. But
okay.
the tale's been being told for so long that when we first went there, we were like, "This is BS. We're not gonna get anything at this bridge."
Yeah.
And me and Jesse saw one of the scariest shadow figures that we had ever seen at this bridge. We even have a photo of us, like, looking at it, like, because we were taking, like, a picture of the 3 of us. Jesse's wife was taking a picture as we were getting ready to leave,
Yeah.
and this it was such a figure that it looked like it was walking over, like, the railing that Jesse thought it was a real person, and he
Oh
started
my
to walk
gosh.
over because he thought it was, like, a security guard or something, which would have
Yeah.
made no sense, but and then it just enveloped the whole area and was just gone.
Ugh, that would give me
But
the creeps. I'd get goosebumps.
Yeah, it's a creepy one, especially when you're not expecting it. Like I said, we were
Yeah.
very skeptical of this bridge. Uh, so I bring that one up because if that story is not true, which I don't
Mhm.
think it is, like the backstory, I think because so many people go to a place looking for something that sometimes it
Mhm.
can manifest something there.
Yeah.
So that could be the case for the Sallie House, or something could have just always already been there. We just don't know for sure right now, but I don't think it's anything inviting, is what I will say.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. And so I also like that you mentioned on your investigations that you guys always try to debunk, which I think is very, very important, especially being an investigator. How do you personally, like, how do you separate the paranormal activity from coincidence? Like, what are some of the things that you do or like to, like, check off your list as far as like trying to figure out, like, hey, we heard a knock, but what would be some of the things that you'd want to check to make sure that actually was a knock?
Sure. Can you replicate it? Is it consistent? If it is
Yes,
consistent, is it the
makes
same
sense.
area? Is there a pipe there? Is there something else there? Is there a tree branch that could be hitting the outside of the house, right? So, that's the stuff. So, for instance, we were just in the UK, we were at the priest cottage, which another very good
Oh, so
investigation.
cool.
We got some stuff, but one particular
Yeah.
part, we were in the basement and I was walking by and I kept feeling like a cold spot, which is something you look for. And
Yeah.
I just kept feeling this cold spot, kept feeling this cold spot, and it felt like it was, like, roughly in the same area, and I'm like, "Is there something going on here?" So then I found that there was
Mhm.
this little room across from it, and one of the windows, the board wasn't on properly, and it was just, like, wide open to
What?
outside, and it was just perfectly parallel to that spot, and you could just feel the cold spot as you walked up to the window, right? So,
Sneaky,
when we
sneaky.
re when we release that episode, you might at the beginning see me talk about the cold spot, but then at some point in
Yeah.
the video, you're gonna see us sort of debunk that
Yeah.
particular cold spot by going to the window. It's just making sure that, like, taking you gotta have that healthy balance where you're skeptical enough that you're willing to go
Mhm.
figure out if there is something else doing it,
Mhm. Yeah.
but not but also you can't go too far the other way where everything is not paranormal and you just say like it's just the wind. It's like, well, there's no wind tonight, or
Yeah.
because you have those people as well. So striking that healthy balance, I think, is pretty important.
Oh, for sure. No, I love that. Um, would you ever go back to the Sallie House and investigate again?
Yeah, I would definitely go back to the Sallie House. There's a lot of places we wanna go to before we start going back to places. So, right now, it's, traveling to places we haven't investigated, but I would love to go back to the Sallie House
Mhm.
for 2 reasons. The Sallie House is an incredible place to do an investigation. It's scary, we had some activity there, but also, if you're looking
Yeah.
to travel and do investigations, it's only 2 hours away from the Villisca House as well, and I would love to go back to the Villisca House. That was a bucket list item
That's
for
a
me.
yeah.
So if you're looking for, like, a little
Yeah, it was
paranormal
for me
road
too, and
trip,
I'm
a
so
mini
mad
one,
that I missed it.
it's, like, the perfect I definitely recommend going to it. It's an incredible experience. We got a lot of activity there as well, but just to go into that house and know the history behind it, it's
Mhm.
unsettling for sure, but,
Yeah.
important to see, I think.
Yeah, very cool. Um, okay, and then I got some questions for advice for people who are interested. Thank you for sharing about your Sallie House experience. I really appreciate that. It's definitely on the list now, especially after watching your
Well,
episode on YouTube. It was very intense, and I was not expecting half of that to happen because it is unusual, I feel like, to get that much activity at a location. But for people who want to investigate haunted locations, do you have any suggestions on where they should start?
yeah, I would start by looking at your local area. There's a lot more places that you can go do investigations
Mhm.
than you would think, that offer stuff depending on the part of the country you're in for sure, or what country you're in. But if you don't have equipment, there's these places
Mhm.
also offer, like, guided investigations sometimes where you can go with a bunch of different people. We personally don't like to do that unless we're leading it with our listeners, but that's just because we've been doing this long enough. But when you're starting out,
Mhm.
yes, you have to deal with some noise contamination, but at least you have access to some tools that you normally wouldn't have. But you don't need much to start. Get a voice recorder, get a spirit box, maybe get some dowsing rods, grab a camera, go to your local cemetery. Look at the history of it, though, because you can find some stories of what has happened at that
Yeah.
particular cemetery of why it might be haunted. Try to figure out where you should be communicating. You can go into places blind, but I like to know the history behind a location before I go because that's half the reason we do the show we do. We like to talk about, like, history, and ghost stories are history for
Mhm.
whatever location you're going to. So that's my advice. I mean, just start. And the other
Absolutely.
thing is just start, right? Because people will say that they want to do it and they'll say it for
Yeah.
years and then they'll never do it. So just go out there and
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I'm one of those
actually
people.
do what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah, but you
awesome.
started the podcast, so you're on the right way,
Um,
right?
what safety yeah, I figured that's a start. I actually just got a K2 meter, so I'm really excited about that. I have my dowsing rods and I have my K2 meter now, so it's slow but surely I'm getting there. But
That's how you have to do it.
what are some safety precautions that investigators should take?
Well, it's really gonna depend on what you believe in terms of that. We have some smudge stuff that we use when we feel like we need to make sure nothing follow we don't want
Mhm.
anything to follow us home. Um, we make it known to the spirits they're not allowed to follow us home, especially if we think we're dealing with something darker. But that is essentially one of the risks of doing an investigation.
Absolutely. And what would be one of the biggest mistakes an investigator can make? A new investigator could make?
Thinking you know everything. And I say that with I mean, that's kind of vague, but I say that in the sense that, like, so for example, we went to the Licking County Jail in, Ohio to do an investigation. And if you do look up
Mhm.
the history of that, the story is that it is haunted by Carl Etherington. It's a really sad story if you look into it. I won't go over all of it, but the second floor is where his cell was, where he was wrongfully imprisoned. The whole story is crazy. Go look up the Licking County Jail, look up Carl
Mhm.
Etherington. But we were on the second floor, and that's where people say they communicate with
I
Carl.
definitely am.
So that's what we started to yeah. So that's what we started to try to do is communicate with Carl, and halfway through, I decided to switch it up because the story is, this is a true story. A mob took him out of his cell
Mm,
and went and, hung him from the street post.
mm.
So I switched it and I tried to communicate with members
Oh
of the
my
mob
gosh.
that took him, and we started getting way more reactions to that.
Oh.
So try to play all sides of a story. Like,
Oh,
just
geez.
because you hear it's this person X that's haunting it, go with the other side too. Like,
Yeah,
it's just, you never know, but don't get too locked in on one thing is essentially what I'm saying. Be open to trying to talk to other people as well.
yeah, very cool. Good advice.
Thanks.
And I
Yeah, I
have
mean,
some
it's all trial
fun
and error as you
questions
go out
now.
there.
Just yeah. And so for my fun questions, what is the scariest place that you have investigated?
Ooh, I mean, Sallie House is definitely up there. Me personally, it's still the
Mhm.
Hinsdale House in New York. That is still my top one. When I talked about having
Nice.
that feeling when you go into a room, the Hinsdale House, you have it the
Mhm.
entire house and the entire property. So I'll stick
Oof.
for now. I'm still gonna say the Hinsdale House for me.
Nice. Sounds good. What is one piece of equipment that you cannot investigate without? I know you mentioned that you like to bring multiples, but is there that one that you always bring just in case?
I don't have one that I lean on in that respect because we have the full kit, but when we strip our kit down,
Mhm.
like if we're just gonna do something where we're not bringing all our equipment, we make sure that we have a voice recorder, a spirit box, a K2 meter. Like that's our sort of essential if we're doing something on the go kit, like a hotel room or something like that. Like
Nice.
if we have to strip down,
Yeah.
that's kinda like what we strip down to.
Very cool. Well, and that kind of leads me to my next question because I was going to ask you if you had to choose a spirit box or an EVP recorder, but you picked both of them.
I did kinda pick both of them. I did kinda cheat. I like the spirit box personally. Um, I feel like it
Mhm.
it's scary in the moment, but there is still nothing like getting a class A EVP on a recorder because it's a next level of creepy, so,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's tough to choose. I mean, you just
Ooh.
anytime you get something, you just feel so good,
Yeah.
and scared, and it's a adrenaline rush to just get anything, so, um, but the
Yeah.
recorder, when you do get it,
Oh, I love
we
it.
got one on at Emily's Bridge that we were talking about. Dave was walking around just doing some preliminary
Mhm.
checks with the recorder, and you can go back and you can hear it, but he said, "Is there anybody there?" And it's just a girl's voice saying "behind you," which is insanely terrifying.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. Awesome. And then just a couple more questions. Do you think that we'll ever fully understand the paranormal world, whether it be spirits or cryptids or aliens, if you believe in those things? Do you think we'll ever fully find the truth?
I hope so. I feel like there's still like, sort of like scientists don't really work on it too much, and because that's just because they don't wanna be ostracized from their
Uh-huh.
communities or for any of their other work, and I hope we break that barrier in the
Yeah.
future because I do think that we could find out more about a lot of things. I mean, those are all different things, and, I think spirits are different than cryptids, then are different than aliens, but I think that they all have that misconception that you're gonna be ostracized if you work on any of these things.
Mhm.
So, I hope that barrier is broken in the future.
True. I hope so too. I really do. Like, it's always fascinated me, and just to know what really happens on the other side and what it really is, and um it would just be awesome to really understand that and fully get that investigation in. But we are winding down, and before we leave, where can our listeners follow your work and your investigations? I just want to make sure that we are following you on YouTube and anywhere else you are.
Sure, if you look up Hometown Ghost Stories pretty much anywhere, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any social media, you're sure to find us. If you ever wanna join us for a live show, we go live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern,
Ooh,
so you can join the chat and watch an episode there, and like I said, we cover a different
nice.
town every Tuesday night, and hits your podcast feeds on Wednesday.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Rob, we seriously appreciate you being here and taking the time to go investigate one of the most haunted places and sharing that experience with us. And for everyone who's listening, what do you think? Would you spend a night at the Sallie House? This is Grim Happenings, where the stories are real, the unknown is always closer than you think. So stay spooky, and we'll see you next time.